You're locked into the Liberty Flames podcast, powered by Rogers Heating and Cooling, servicing Greater Lynchburg's HVAC and electrical needs. Schedule your service today at callrogers.com.
Throw near side, picked off by the Flames.
Get ready for double coverage with Nick Pierce and Pat Kelly, the weekly podcast that takes you inside Flames football and around the nation before game day. Now, alongside former Flames All-Conference wide receiver Pat Kelly, here's your host, Nick Pierce.
Hi again, Flames Nation. Welcome back into the podcast. I'm Nick Pierce, and obviously he is not Pat Kelly, but DJ Jordan filling in for Pat here this week. Little pinch hit action as we get you into the midweek portion of the schedule for the Flames here in the month of October, turning the calendar over, and a couple of midweeks on the docket as the Flames get ready to step back into Conference USA play. Pivotal moment coming up here for this team, and we're going to chop it all up here this week on double coverage. So glad you would join us here on the Liberty Flames podcast, powered by Rogers Heating and Cooling. Liberty is coming in 1-4 back into conference play after a loss at Old Dominion last week. We'll get into that here as well. But, DJ, before we get into all the particulars, I just want to say welcome in, man. I hadn't worked together very much with you yet, but I know that you've been a part of this TV crew, a former player here at Liberty, a running back, a tight end, and you've seen some things. You were part of this program before it blossomed into what it is now.
Yeah, I love to represent all of the old-timers who played with Liberty going back to the 80s. It's been a long program for the football team, and it's been incredible to see the growth over time. And we all can still enjoy it as part of that family and that brotherhood. So happy to be on, man.
Yeah, you could see DJ on the Flames Central television coverage for all the home games here, part of the pre, post, and half crew for that. DJ also played for Coach Sam Rutigliano, the legend here at Liberty. So excited to have you along here for the ride. So you've been watching the same thing we all have here over the last few weeks, and this is uncharted waters for this team. We haven't been here in a long time. First 1-4 start since 2012. And the last time the Flames lost 5 straight, which they haven't yet, but obviously this is a big game coming up, hadn't had a 5-game losing streak since 2005. And we all remember how that season went, a 1-10 campaign for the Flames. And look, this team, I'll just say it, this team and that team, I was here for that team in 2005. It's not the same thing. This team is way more competitive, way closer, I think, to getting this thing right. They just got to make it happen, and it just hadn't happened yet.
Yeah. You're right about uncharted territory, and I think that's why you feel so much despair within Liberty Nation is because we've been so used to winning. To have the meteoric rise of our football program to go to the FBS level and to still be competitive right away is absolutely extraordinary. And so we're used to that. We're used to winning seasons. I think the last losing season was that 2005 year. So we're talking 20 years. And, we joined the FBS ranks in 2018 right away, 6-6, very competitive, went 8-5 after that, went 10-1 after that. And so the program really created a new normal that set expectations very, very, very high. And so my heart goes out to Flame Nation. We're all feeling it.
Yeah, for sure. Flames coming off the loss to Old Dominion, 21-7 last week. There were some bright spots in that game. Fans typically don't like to talk about that after a loss, but I think you got to acknowledge both sides of this. I mean, yeah, there's struggles, and we're going to talk about those too. But you look at this defense right now, DJ. I mean, they forced 4 turnovers. It's third time under head coach Jamie Chadwell that they've gotten 4 or more turnovers in a game. It's the first time that they've lost one of those games, though. Defense just played lights out, gave them every chance in the world to win that football game last Saturday.
Yeah, I was really pleased with what I saw in the defense on one level on the turnovers. However, there were still some challenges with the defense. They gave up 489 yards to ODU. Now, ODU's been doing that to everybody. Their offense is really, really good, but they didn't quit. And most of those turnovers, by the way, were in the red zone or on the other side of the field. So the score could have been much worse. The score could have been in the 30s and 40s, but the defense made plays and turnovers. And turnovers are one of the most impactful plays in regards to changing momentum. And so you didn't see them quit. And that's one thing that I am really, really looking at this team right now and Jamie Chadwell and his ability to keep the team motivated. And you mentioned that I played for Sam Rutigliano. I'm telling you, man, he's one of the most motivational coaches that I've ever, or leaders that I have ever been around of, that I've ever heard before. We were ready to run through a brick wall for that man, even when we had losing records. And the time that I played football, we actually had a few more losing records than we had winning records. And yet we didn't give up on this guy at all. And so I'm looking at this team. I see some good signs at JMU. They played really, really hard. I think they played well enough to win going into the third quarter, and then kind of things went off the rails. But you see the competition of the defense really, really high in that ODU game. And so with UTEP, you got to come in strong. You got to start fast, which has been a challenge for Liberty historically. And I think to keep your team motivated, we're talking about young men now. We're talking about young people who are very emotional. You got to come in strong with UTEP, and I would even say you got to blow them out to have any chance of trying to turn this season around.
Wow. Yeah. We're going to get into that UTEP game here in a minute. And a couple things I want to hit on. You mentioned the red zone defense for the Flames forcing those turnovers. Let's not forget, DJ, this was an Old Dominion team that was 10 for 10 with 10 touchdowns in the red zone going into this game. They were the only team in the country that had scored a touchdown on every single trip to the red zone. This game last week, they were 0 for 5 with 3 turnovers. Flames did not let them score in the red zone. Now, unfortunately, defense also gave up some chunk plays, 13 explosives. I think 6 or 7 of those were in the passing game, and then gave up 3 runs of 20 yards or more. So there were definitely some deficiencies, but that defense played well enough to win the football game. Like you said, that game could have easily been 35 or 42-7 even. When you talk about motivation, there's plenty of motivation there. But you look at this schedule, you got 7 games left. They're all conference games. And when you look at what it takes to get to the conference championship game, I did some digging. If I get the notebook out, I did some digging. I got some numbers here, okay? Bear with me. 2 lost teams. Well, let's start. 1 lost teams. The Conference USA title game goes back to 2005. 1 lost teams that have made the title game. It's happened 24 times since 2005. Wow. There's almost always a 1-loss team in there. They've hosted 15 of those games, and they've won the title 13 times. So 1 loss to Jacksonville State, far from a death sentence. Let's say you lose another game, which is probable, the rest of the year. You got 7 games left. Say you go 5-2. 6-1. If you go 6-1 the rest of the way, you got 2 conference losses. 2 lost conference teams have made the title game 10 times, twice in the last 3 years. Never hosted it, but they've won the title 3 times. So even with 2 losses, you can still get to where you want to go. If this team can find a way to turn it around, go 6-1 down the stretch, obviously you're in a bowl game at that point. But like you said, it starts with UTEP. You can't go 6-1 until you go 1-0. And they've got to find a way to go beat a Miners team that's 1-4. And we are going to chop that up here in just a bit. But a couple things to hit on here, too. Let's go back to the passing game. We talked about that. Quarterback, Michael Merdinger. Tough spot for him. A guy that's only played in, 3 real college football games now up to this point, if you count the bowl game last year for Carolina. Made his first start this past weekend. Obviously, things are going to move a little quicker when you're out there and, you feel like everything's moving and whizzing right by your head and you can't – the decision-making, it's got to be a little bit quicker, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, Merdinger comes from good pedigree, and I think that he probably has the talent and the skill set. But Rutigliano, speaking of, used to say, 80% of playing quarterback is above the neck. It's being able to process the offense, make quick decisions, and he's really struggled with that. He's held on to the ball really, really long. And I would just encourage, if I'm in the coach's room, simplifying that offense, giving him a lot of quick throws, giving him two reads at the most, hitches, flats, even screens to get some rhythm going, so he's able to get some confidence. And of course, the running game can be a quarterback's best friend. And then Liberty has been able to run the football. If you look at the numbers, they had 126 yards, against ODU. Of course, that's below their average last year, which was a record year. They averaged about 167 yards per game. But the running game has been there and has been an opportunity. So the thing I'm worried about the offense is that if Mike Menninger, if he starts this next game and he's not able to get anything going in the passing game, UTEP's defense is just going to load up the box, and they're going to play against the run, which makes it even harder. And by the way, Menninger is not a running quarterback, kind of like Vasco was and many of the other quarterbacks before that. And so I'll be curious to see with UTEP the game plan that they go into. And thankfully, they've got a little bit more time before that game. They don't play this weekend. They have a midweek game. And so there's room for growth there.
And what that does with the additional time, like you pointed out, this is kind of a half bye week. You get a little extra time to review tape, take some more reps. If it's going to be Merdinger again, and he's going to start the UTEP game, then you've got a little extra time to hopefully prepare him and build upon what he did or didn't do in the Old Dominion game. He finished up 6 of 11 passing, 77 yards. I think 53 of those 77 came on one play on a deep ball to Dante Lee that set him up for their only touchdown. But also, too, what that bye week or half week does is it gives Ethan Vasco a little bit more time. We saw him be a participant in practice even last week. That shoulder injury, not as bad as they initially feared. Maybe he's able to come back and play this game against UTEP, which would be a huge lift. We'll get an update on him a little bit later this week. Jamie Chadwell's media availability later in the week than it normally is. But regardless if it's Vasco or if it's Merdinger or whoever it is, I think you hit on something else. You've got to be able to establish a run game. And the Flames have not been able to do that consistently enough this year. Didn't help that Evan Dickens went down in that game at Old Dominion either. He had been their leading rusher and kind of their bell cow at that spot up to this point. Georgia Tech transfer is in concussion protocol. But again, with the additional time, you're hopeful maybe he can come out of protocol and make that trip out to El Paso.
Yeah, that would be a great addition to have Vasco to come back. But the running game, if you look at what they've done this year, they had almost 200 yards against Jacksonville State. They had 194 yards against Maine, and that really set the tone. And one thing that really worried me about ODU is that they were 4 for 13 on third down. And the big reason is because they were in long distance situations. And so the game plan has to include winning first down, getting 4 yards or more on first down so that you have a more manageable second and third down situation, especially if Merdinger is your guy.
Yeah, I think you could say that on both sides of the ball, right? I mean, we talk about not being able to generate any pressure on the opposing quarterback, which, by the way, Jamie Chadwell teams did really well when he was at Coastal Carolina. Now, they had some NFL talent down there, too. But who knows? I mean, you might have some talented guys here, but when you're in 3rd and 4 or 3rd and 3 all the time, it's hard to dial up a pass rush. And so the Flames defensively got to do a little bit better on 1st and 2nd down. The injuries, though, going back to that, they're kind of taking a toll at this point. We saw Brylan Green go down. That was heartbreaking.
That was big.
The good news is, though, DJ, we saw him on the sideline after it happened. It wasn't a cast on his foot. It was a walking boot, and he was on crutches. Maybe, and again, we'll get the official update later, maybe it's not a fracture. Maybe it's a sprain, a bad one. Who knows? Maybe he'll be able to come back. Coach Chadwell did say after the game he felt like they kind of dodged a bullet there for the long-term repercussions of that injury. You just hope that maybe you can get a couple of guys back here in this open week. I wouldn't expect Brylan to be one of them, but if you can get a couple more back, maybe you start to build something.
Yeah, Brylan Green is a great player, safety. He had, I believe, the first fumble recovery, by the way. So he is a spark for this Liberty defense emotionally and on the field, and you hope to get him back. With that said, you're starting to get to the middle of your season, and every single team is going to be dealing with injuries in some way or fashion. And thankfully, you have the half bye week right now to be able to get a few guys back. But it's really incumbent on your second team guys, your third team guys to step up, and it's next man up. That's got to be your mentality. And one of the benefits of this portal era and NIL era is oftentimes you can get players from other schools to be able to strengthen your depth. One of the weaknesses of this time period as well is that sometimes depth is just not there because kids aren't coming to your school unless they know they're starting, unless they know that they're getting some playing time. And so with many schools, you're seeing a drop off at the FBS level from the first and the second team. So it'll be really interesting to see. And I hope those second team players view this as an opportunity to really make a name for themselves.
We could probably do a whole nother show on the effects of the transfer portal,
Oh,
good and
yeah.
bad. Hopefully the
That's a
retention
whole
rate.
series right there. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Hopefully the retention rate will go up a little bit now that they've eliminated that spring portal. I know that hurt the Flames a little bit this past year.
That did hurt the Flames. Yeah. Speaking of retention, that is another thing to play for in college football these days, because these teams that are getting into losing records, they're getting into seasons that don't look like they're trending towards a bowl. You have players now who have a whole entourage, a financial advisor, an agent, or whatever. They start having conversations in the middle of the season about whether or not they're going to stay. And so it's really important for the coaching staff to really get things moving along. And even though you may be 1-4, there is so much to play for. There's obviously the conference championship. There's the possibility of a bowl, but you want to finish strong. You've got to finish on some type of streak in order to retain a lot of these players in this new NIL era. It's just the way it is. Kids are not going to stick around if they don't believe the program is going in the right direction, or if they're going to have an opportunity to play and contribute.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you mentioned 1-4, and we talked about that. Well, that's also UTEP's record. And coming into next weekend, both of these teams find themselves in the same boat. 1-4 overall, 0-1 in the league. I think this is a paramount game for both teams. If you lose this game, you've painted yourself back to the wall, basically, either one of these teams, as far as trying to get to a bowl game, as far as trying to reach the conference championship game. Then you're at a point where you basically have to win out. And if you're 1-5, what really makes you think that you're going to win out at that point? So, and even beyond that, UTEP kind of reminds me of Liberty a little bit. DJ, you start taking a look at some of these numbers. UTEP 99th in total offense, passing offense has been a little bit better than Liberty's, but they've got questions at quarterback. Offensively, they've struggled to score points. When you look at the game last week, they were being shut out through 3 quarters in the loss to Louisiana Tech. It's a UTEP team that's 106th in the country in scoring, averaging 21 points a game. Still a little bit better than Liberty, DJ. They're only averaging 17 points per game, but the fact remains, is it going to be Malachi Nelson? Is it going to be Skylar Thompson at quarterback for them next week? Nelson, the Boise State transfer, was supposed to be kind of the truth for them, coming over from a really good Broncos team last year. Just didn't get the playing time, but he's been up and down this year. And then you look at, I think it's 8 interceptions over his last 3 games. You start to wonder for UTEP, maybe they're kind of in the same boat, or a little bit worse in some ways.
Yeah, and you've got some issues there with the team falling a little flat as well, where some of the games were more competitive towards the beginning of the season, and they've seemed to get worse as the season has gone on, which is a really terrible sign for any type of program. So for both teams, this is a must win. This just isn't a get right game. It's a must win in order to make anything of this season and to keep any type of momentum. And, if you're the coaches on either side, you're not talking about conference championship at all. You're talking about UTEP. This is a one-game, almost like a one-game bowl or playoff type scenario where you're pushing all of your cards to the middle of the table, and you've got to come away with this win. It's a must-win game.
I agree 100%. I think for both teams, this is definitely must-win territory. Scotty Walding, their head coach, great dude, great coach. He's had a lot of success at Austin P before this. He's in year 2 now out at UTEP. They're trying to build something before they move on to the Mountain West Conference after this year, which good luck there. It's
Yeah, yeah.
competition level is going to go up a little bit for them too. But he kind of downplayed some of he was look, it's about getting better and executing better. And I think every coach would say that, but you're right. I mean, this has got to be in the players' minds too. I mean, if you don't win this game for both teams, if you don't win this game, it's a really steep hill to climb if you're going to even get to a bowl game like we mentioned. So, whole lot on the line here this week, but a whole lot to play for. I mean, that's what you want. You want to be in a
Hmm.
situation where you're playing meaningful football games, and both of these teams are. Kickoff next Saturday night, or excuse me, Saturday night, midweek. Next Wednesday
Wait,
night,
yeah.
it's midweek
Actually, it's
action.
Tuesday.
Huh?
Is it Tuesday? No, you're right.
Yeah, Wednesday. Yeah.
Wednesday. Wednesday.
You confused me for a second because, yeah, the Tuesday game is at home. So Liberty's got 2 midweek games here in October. Wednesday night next week at UTEP. That's an 8 o'clock Eastern kick, 6 o'clock local time. And then the following Tuesday, Liberty has its next home game. That's against New Mexico State, and that'll be a 7 o'clock Eastern time start. So you talk about even looking ahead a little bit, that quick turnaround for the Flames after playing on a Wednesday, you already lose one day there going to next Tuesday. Then the travel day, Thursday coming home, you're behind 2 days essentially going into that New Mexico State game. So a whole lot of obstacles for the Flames to overcome here over these next couple of weeks, but we're all hopeful that they can do it, right?
Yeah, if you're looking at the schedule for Liberty, which the players and the team absolutely should not be doing, but we as fans and supporters can look ahead,
Broadcasters, yeah, absolutely.
and podcasters, absolutely. There's a slim opportunity, and you look at the game after UTEP with New Mexico State. They're 2-2 right now. They're a beatable team in my opinion, and I think already the line shows that Liberty's favored there. Delaware is a much better team than I think people thought that they were. No
Yep.
surprise to me, living in the DC area where I live. We've heard of the Delaware program at the FCS level, winning playoffs for many years. They're a strong winning program. They have a culture there of winning, and so they're good. They beat UConn this year.
Mhm.
And played Colorado earlier in the season and were competitive for 3 quarters. So that's a good program. Missouri State has a losing record. They're 2-3. You got FIU. Hopefully, if you're looking ahead, that's 4 out of 5 wins possibly if you lose to
Yep.
Delaware. And then Louisiana Tech, which is rolling right now, they're 4-1. And then ending the year with Kennesaw State. I think that Liberty doesn't have Western Kentucky this
No,
year,
no.
which is a major benefit to the program. Western Kentucky is really good this year, and probably right now the odds-on favorite to win it all.
Yeah, yeah, big benefit there to miss them. I think it's a big miss though that the Flames don't play Middle Tennessee and Sam Houston. Boy, what
Oh
a
yeah,
benefit
yeah,
that could be potentially if you had those two. Those two teams look like the worst teams in the league this year. But yeah, I think you've got to win all your home games. I think that's where it starts. You've got to defend your home field. You do play 4 out of your last 6 at home. It starts on the road here this next week at UTEP. You win that one, you start to create a little bit of feel good and momentum. Then you come home for 3 straight. Maybe you can get on a roll there. The La Tech game will be a big challenge, like you said. Probably need to find a way to win that FIU game too. So there's a
yeah,
path. There is a path to 6, 7 wins here this year for the Flames. Got to be able to win. You got 7 games to go. If you can win, obviously 5 out of 7, that gets you to a bowl game. 6 out of 7, you're probably playing for a conference championship, truth be told. So,
yeah,
but again, 8 o'clock kick next Wednesday in El Paso. We'll have it for you on the radio, 88.3 FM, Lynchburg, Roanoke, Danville, Liberty Flames mobile app, and on the social media outlets for Liberty football as well with our In the Booth cam. Look forward to bringing it to you next week. Our airtime is 6:30 Eastern. I'll be live with you on the pregame coverage there. We're about out of time here on the pod this week. DJ, appreciate you hopping on, man. It's great to work with you, get a little bit of your insight, and we'll have Pat audition for his job back next week.
It's my pleasure to try to fill Pat's shoes. Nobody can do that. He's really good. But this was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on, Nick.
For DJ Jordan, I'm Nick Pierce. This has been Double Coverage on the Liberty Flames podcast, powered by Rogers Heating and Cooling, servicing Greater Lynchburg's HVAC and electrical needs. Schedule your service today at callrogers.com. Until next time, so long, everybody.
You've been listening to Double Coverage with Nick Pierce and Pat Kelly. Hit the subscribe button and listen each week to this and all podcasts on the Liberty Flames podcast channel from Van Wagner on the Liberty Flames Sports Network.